Welcome, everyone, to episode 100 of the Missing Pieces podcast. If this is your first time finding this after all this time, my name's Greg, and for the last 99 episodes, I've sat down and I've discussed my life, Lego, and anything else that's been on my mind. And here we are now at 100. And I feel like anytime you do something 100 times, it should be celebrated. So last week, being that I had no ideas of my own, I asked you guys, what should I do for my 100th episode? And I got responses, including, but not limited to, do a live episode, do a face reveal, point the camera at my sleeping dog, have Mrs. Brickitect on, and make it unspectacular. And that last one, that one really caught me because I feel like that's one that I could actually pull off because I have done that 99 times so far. So this will be an unspectacular episode, but I did come up with an idea of my own that I think could make for a really great episode and maybe something that you can engage with as well. And that is, make this a time capsule. Think about, where do I want to be 100 episodes from now? Like it's about a 2-year process to get to 100 episodes. So when I get to episode 200, it'll be about 2 years from now, depending on vacation weeks and things like that. But we're pretty consistent around here. And I was thinking of, where do I want to be in 2 years? What are my goals for 2 years? And I would like you, during this episode, as I'm discussing my things, I would like you to do that as well. I want you to think about where you want to be because I'm a very goal-driven person. And I think having goals gives you a purpose. And when you have a goal, you have something to shoot for. And even if you don't get there all the way, at least you can make some progress towards it. So I broke this down into a few categories. And we're going to start with professionally. Where would I like to be by episode 200 of Missing Pieces? And to be honest, where I would love to be is still having the opportunity to be doing this. I love making videos. I love sharing videos. Everything about it. It's my true passion in life. And I don't think that there's anything else that I could possibly do in this world that I would love more than doing this. So I would love in 100 episodes or 2 years from now to have this ability to still be making a living by making YouTube videos. I think it's going to happen. I have confidence. I mean, there was a time in my life, like after I quit my job, I was like, I don't know if this is going to work, but I at least have to try it. And even if this ends a year from now, at least I gave it a go. And I can say that I did it. And for some reason, well, I shouldn't say for some reason, because that takes all of the work that I've put into this out of it. But I stayed consistent. Like I always tell you guys, I kept working and I tried getting better at what I'm doing and improving. And that's something that I would like to do in the next 2 years as well. I'd like to keep getting better at this craft, make better videos, try to find ways to tell stories in a better way. It's been one of my goals here on this series for a while now, is telling better stories, becoming a better storyteller. So that's something that I would like to do, and just always keep getting a little bit better, because even if you just improve ever so slightly, just like I was talking about with your goals, over time that creates a big amount, large amount. My wife's an English teacher. We're gonna do our best here. But yeah, I would love to keep making YouTube videos and to have the opportunity to do this for a living. I love every aspect of this, and to be at episode 200 and to sit here with you guys and to say, hey, we're still doing it. That would make me very happy. And hopefully it would for you as well, because I know there's a lot of people out there that enjoy the stuff that we put out. I love the videos sharing my life and my journey in that. My video time capsule, basically what this is. I love watching Clark Man grow up, and I've been doing like highlight videos lately each week, kind of showing what we were doing a year ago today, the literal time capsule. And it's so cool to see what we created and to see those memories resurface again through watching videos. And that's something that not a lot of people have. Like, you might have some photos here and there. Everything might be in your brain, but you forget about all the small stuff. And my thoughts have always been, I'm going to record the small stuff that may not seem like it's amazing, like it's just a day in our lives, but that day is special and that day is limited and that day is never coming back. So to have that documented and to be able to put that out to the world and have people actually care is incredible. And that's something else that I kind of wanted to discuss here. We are going through a bit of a transition period now where I've spent the last 4 years with Clark Man being home with me and like sharing our experiences together. And I knew eventually that was going to come to an end because he was going to school. We had an extra year because of Chima last year. You guys have been around for a while, know what I'm talking about. But this year I knew, like, okay, he's going off to school, so things are going to change here. This is going to go back to pre-Clark Man Greg's World, for example, which is my vlogging channel. And I didn't know how people would take that. I didn't know if they'd be receptive of, me sending Clarkman off to school and then kind of showing what I'm doing in my day behind the scenes, being a self-employed content creator and just whatever I get into. And it's been really awesome to see the response on this because I was pleasantly surprised when people actually like it. I've been kind of jokingly titling the series Home Alone with Greg because Home Alone with Clark was one of my series that really blew up, where it was like a dad with this little baby and being like, what do I do here? And to see that progression. But now Home Alone with Greg has become a thing and people are actually enjoying it. And that just fills me with so much happiness that people actually care, because we obviously know that you all love Clark, man. A lot of people probably just, and kids especially, watch for Clark. But what's it like being a 37, future 39-year-old when we're going back to this in episode 200? What's it like being that guy? What's it, I don't really have much to offer in this world other than myself and who I am and sharing that authentically. And if I can continue doing that and people actually care enough to watch the videos, I'm very excited. So that is kind of where I'd like to be professionally. I'd like to keep doing this. I'd like to get better at it. And I guess most of all, I hope by episode 200, people actually care enough about me and the things I'm doing, whether it be in Lego or outside of Lego, to go on this journey with me. So that's where we're at with that. But I have a couple other categories too. So hopefully you wrote down your professional goal while I was rambling on about mine. Let's go on to the next category that I think we should cover. And that's health, because obviously it's great doing something that you love to do, but if you're not alive to be doing that, that's not so good. So this is a big goal, and this is one that I can absolutely achieve if I put my mind to it, because I'm a firm believer in, if you want something bad enough, you will find a way to get it. That's how I live my life, and I've been able to materialize things that you ordinarily wouldn't think that you could do. And what I would love to do in the next 2 years, or by episode 200, is to be in peak physical condition. I'm talking best shape of my life. I want to make my health and fitness a priority. Instead of making editing videos on 4 different channels and live streaming all the time a priority, it's still something I want to do. But that balance and or harmony needs to be reworked a little bit there. And I want to be just absolutely fit. Because if you've been given all these gifts in life, you don't want to blow it by not being as good as you can be. So I see a lot of opportunity there too, because, obviously I'm not a fitness guru by any means. I'm just a regular guy, as far as I can tell. Maybe slightly below average. I don't know. But, oh, sorry, I coughed. It probably blew your eardrums out. No more jokes for Greg in this episode. I was thinking, I love sharing my life and the things I'm doing and inspiring people whenever I can. What if I did this health and fitness journey and took people along with me? This is just a guy he's trying to do 10 push-ups. I'm not showing you how I'm the strongest man in the world or that I'm capable of all these things, but I can start on this. And if you make that a series where it's like, hey, today's the day I start and we're working our way up, maybe people will find that and they'll be like, if this guy can do that, I can do that too. Let me do this as well. And I think it could be like a whole thing that we do. Plus, we got Roxy Bear, who could also use a lot of walking and exercise as well. So it could be a thing we do together. I've mentioned before on this series that I would love to take this show on the road with a little portable recorder and maybe do some podcasts while I walk the dog. Maybe not quite the clean audio outside of me coughing directly into the microphone that you expect here, but it could be something kind of fun to do. And I've learned that pretty much anything in my life, if it's something I'm interested in or something that I want to do, there is an audience for that. I never have any fear of people just bailing on that. And this Home Alone with Greg situation that I've been in for the last 5 weeks now or so, that has really showed me that opportunities are endless for me. So I'm very, I'm just so excited. I wake up in the morning, and I know last week's episode was about being early birds or night owls or whatever we are. I wake up in the morning excited, and I want that to be a part of my life as well at episode 200. But I want to wake up just shredded, coming out of bed just Hulkamania style, We'll get there, episode 200. But you got to start now. You can't just be you got to have clear defined goals and how you're going to get there. So if you're writing your goals down now, what are we going to do this week? And I'm going to report back to you next week what I did in week 1 of my 100 weeks to getting absolutely just remarkable. So that is my health goals. Maybe a little aggressive, but again, have some time to work on this and I have the opportunities, I have the margin in my life to do this. It just comes down to priorities. Do I need to make 5 videos a day, or can I make 3 videos a day and find some time to exercise? I think I could do both. Let's go on to the next thing here. This one is what I titled lifestyle. What are my lifestyle goals? What do I want my life to look like? I would say right now I have a pretty good life. There's nothing that I really want, per se. Like I'm not like dreaming about getting this material thing in my life, because I've learned that really doesn't make a difference. If you have happiness within, and if your needs are met, if you have food in your stomach, if you're living indoors, if you are on the internet right now, you live a pretty good life. There might be some things in your personal life that maybe you're not quite happy with, or that could be improved or whatever. Maybe you're looking for a husband or wife or a girlfriend even. I know we have some younger kids here and stuff. That stuff you could always want, but by far, most of your needs are probably met right now. So you have like a lot of check boxes already checked. If you're thinking about goals, you are a very privileged person in this world. And you're living in one of the greatest times it is possible to be a human, even if you don't think that's necessarily true. But one of my goals in terms of lifestyle that I want, and this is something that I've battled with, is being more organized, not letting stuff sit everywhere. I mean, look around my studio. If I have so much going on that I just kind of throw stuff and then I move on to the next thing. Like I finish a video, I literally just run away from it instead of being like, okay, let's clean this mess up. Let's get this stuff where it needs to be. I want to minimize the things that I'm not using by selling on eBay and stuff, like camera equipment. I have a new camera coming hopefully today. I would love if this podcast got interrupted by it because I have to sign for it. But I have a whole bunch of camera equipment throughout my years on YouTube, and those could go to a new home. There's somebody out there that wants this camera, wants to buy this from me, or maybe or just in general, not necessarily for me. But that's a part of improving, trying to increase my quality. And I'm never going to use that again. So let's try to get rid of that stuff and create space so we can store more Lego stuff, right? But that's like the big thing that I thought of in lifestyle change. And I guess, you could put the health stuff into that as well, because it's, it kind of blends into each other. But the one dream that I really have, and I guess this could be a material thing somewhat, but it's more of like the idea behind it and what could come of it. I've been really feeling called to create almost like a farm, I guess. What I'd really love to do is find an old farmhouse. Doesn't have to be anything nice or special, with some land. A nice plot of land. The house can be anything. I can make that into what I want it to be. But I want to find a nice piece of land where I can have animals and all the things that I want. You guys probably know that I'm a huge lover of animals, and right now we have a dog and a cat and chickens. I would love to add more chickens. I'd love to add ducks. I'd love to have some goats. I had a pig once. I'd love to put that back in my life. Maybe just a little potbelly pig or whatever. I'd love to get another dog. I'd love to have some more cats. I'd love to get a parrot. And I want to get this plot of land so I can live out all these dreams. And maybe Greg's world almost becomes Greg's farm, because I could see 40-year-old Greg and into my 50s. I could see that life for me where I just have all these animals that I take care of and that I can love and snuggle with. And don't judge me, guys. I just love it. I love having pets, and that's how I treat them. So I would love to live that lifestyle. I'd love to have like a garden again, like I did at our old house, which I could do that here, but I'd like to do it on like a bigger scale, kind of become self-sufficient. I'd like to be learning things all the time. I'd like to do more reading of books and less watching of random videos on YouTube, TikTok, talking to you. Hopefully TikTok isn't a thing in 2 years. It'd probably be massive. I'll probably actually be putting my videos there because YouTube will be out of business. I don't think that's going to happen. But yeah, I just have this thing in my mind where we're going to find this ultimate property with many acres of land that I could, and I want this to happen in the next 2 years because I want Roxy to experience this. I want her to have like this huge spread, and I want Clark Man to be young enough to really enjoy like hatching chickens and getting ducks and doing all those things that I think would really make a remarkable childhood. And we're doing the best we can with what we've got now, but I just think that's such a cool thing to aspire to. And in terms of making like videos about my life, I look at almost like these animals is almost like cast members or characters in this story that we're, the story we're trying to tell. And I would just love to like experience that. And I'd love for you to experience that with me because it would just be so much fun. So I'm keeping my eyes open. We're looking around. We're still trying to stay close to Cody's job, of course. So our radius of where we're looking is somewhat limited. And, in terms of Clarkman being in the same school district and stuff, that could change. Friends can be found everywhere. And when you're real young, it's not as painful moving to a new school as it is when you're maybe in middle school or high school. So I would love for this to become a reality. Whether that happens in 2 years or not is hard to say. This is one of those things that's kind of out of my hands, but it's definitely something that I think about a lot. And I think I would just love that lifestyle of being Greg's gardening tips, if you will, where I go out and pick my tomatoes, my ripe, juicy tomatoes. Somebody out there knows what I'm talking about. And having my ducks and my chickens. And I want to get a parrot. I guess ideally, like the long-term goal of this would be Cody's parents are getting a little bit older. I would get enough land that they could put a place on it, either build a house or, do like a mobile home of sorts. Cause they're older. There's just two people. And if they had a spot on our land or on our property, we could kind of work together and help them out and they'd be there. And like the thing that really holds me back from getting the animals that I want now is that I still want to be able to travel. I want to go on vacations. I want to do things. And if you have ducks and all these other animals, goats, it's hard. It's one thing when you drop your dog off at your mother-in-law's and be like, hey, can you watch Roxy? The chicken's got 10 days worth of food and water and we're only leaving for 7 days out there. So that's fine. Mellow Cat's pretty self-sufficient. She has a feeder and a water or two, but the more animals you get, the harder that gets to manage. So if they were kind of living on our property with us, I wouldn't charge them anything for that. They could help me with the animals if we're not there. And also, as they get older and stuff, we're there for them. And I think that's important. There's a lot of people that, as they get older, it becomes harder to manage things. So kind of just planning for the future with that. And we've got lots of time on that, but I want this to become a reality in my life. And by George, I'm going to find a way. So we'll see if that happens by episode 200, but I guarantee if it happens, it's going to be something truly remarkable and really fun to share. And I think you're going to enjoy coming along with us on the journey. So I'm just putting it out there to the, the real estate gods who are very violent right now. Let this come to me. Let me find a way. It's one of those things, like I don't necessarily believe too much in like materializing things like, oh, if I envision Lamborghini pulling into my driveway right now and someone dropping off the keys for me, that's going to happen. I don't necessarily believe in that, but I do think that if you kind of like focus your mind on something, like on a similar note, think of if maybe you're driving right now while I'm doing this podcast, think of a red car, for example, and now all of a sudden you're about to notice a whole lot of red cars, or even let's pick a weirder color. Let's pick a yellow car, a little harder to spot. See how many yellow cars you notice in the next week. You're going to see a lot of them, stuff that you wouldn't even have noticed otherwise. So if you focus your mind on something, it's much easier to be receptive of that and to take what the world is giving you. This is getting weird, isn't it? Is it getting weird? I hope not. I'm going to lose some of you guys here probably. Should we just be talking about Lego? So guys, what do you think of the new Lego Titanic set? Oh, it's so big. It's so massive. That's not what Missing Pieces is if this is your first time. You probably already left though. Those of you that are still here, you're my people. I appreciate you. I appreciate you sticking around. So I guess the moral of this whole story, as I hope you're finishing writing your goals down. I hope you did it along with me. If you didn't, you still got time. You can pause this. You got to have goals and you got to have dreams in life. Otherwise, you're just existing. You don't want to just exist. You want to thrive. So try to figure out what you want. How are you going to get that? Even if it's something far off in the distance, like this epic farm with all these animals on it that you have no idea how it's going to happen or when it's going to happen. Take the little steps to get there. Start looking at online. Start seeing if there's any properties available. Look at land that's available. Like see what your opportunities and what you can do to make it happen. Same thing with fitness. I think we're all kind of in that boat, especially if you're getting a little older like me. You put on a couple pounds. Your metabolism isn't what it once was. What are we going to do this week to get there? I always ask you guys that question. I don't ask you that for you always. I ask that for myself. What are we going to do this week to get to where we want to get to? I got the video thing down. Like I know what I want to do there. I do everything that I can to make that happen, and I accomplish those goals. But there's other bigger things that are afoot here, and we're going to get there. So episode 200, Greg, hopefully you're watching this back. Where are we at? What did you do? If you did nothing, I'm very disappointed in you. Very disappointed in future Greg. Quick drink break to move on to This Week in Lego. If those people only would have stuck around for a little longer, they'd be here for this. Let's talk about live streaming. Last week I talked about this idea that I had for 5 a.m. Lego, which didn't happen yet this week. I've been getting up slightly after 5 a.m. and then I come down and the house is like completely quiet and I start editing videos. And I'd like to kind of move that into like the middle of the day so I can do the 5 a.m. thing. But I say all that to say we have streamed every single day this week except for Sunday. We did 6 live streams this past week. We defeated the Star Wars backlog. We've been building all kinds of stuff, getting things done, and I've been having a blast. I love live streaming. I love starting my day off with like just hitting people with that energy and like hopefully getting your day off to a good start, vibing with the people that are in the chat. Clarkman's having a good time. He's building Lego sets. I'm chatting. It's just, I like it. To me, it's kind of unique. Like I don't see, maybe somebody's doing it out there, but I don't see it in the Lego space. If they are, let me know. If you know anyone else is doing like a morning live stream on a daily basis like that, I would probably be down to watch that. Although I'm super busy at that time, so I probably wouldn't be able to, but it's cool. I encourage you to do it if you're thinking about it. Probably no one is, but getting up and starting my day that way is great. I do want to extend it, and I think I'm going to try doing this week, at least one day, just to see how it goes. To as soon as I get up, come down, do like whatever I want to do in the studio, work on things. Clarkman gets up, he can join in the action. Move that video editing to kind of like the middle of the day where I'm here like this right now. It's Friday right now for me, Sunday for you, most likely, or Monday. I see a lot of people listen to this on their commute or at work on Monday. I think that's cool. There's something I wanted to talk about with this, in similar vein to how I was feeling like kind of anxious about whether people would accept Home Alone with Greg as a series where it's just me kind of doing my thing. I was thinking the other day about how maybe live streams aren't what we should be doing in terms of like numbers, because I see how many people are in the live stream when we're doing it. And to be fair, this is like early in the morning. Most of my audience is still in bed. People are getting ready for school. People aren't even like out the door for work yet. It's not a great time for you, but it's a great time for me. And I was like, maybe instead of doing this 40-minute live stream in the morning, maybe Clark and I should just come down and shoot a video. Spend that 40 minutes kind of just shooting a video, and then I can edit it up later and put it out to people, because that's what most people are on YouTube for. But then this morning, I looked at the analytics, and a lot of times when I do this, it just leads me to heartache, because I realize like the thing that I love to do, missing pieces, talking to you, most people have zero interest in. It's like their least favorite thing. But I looked at it for the live streams, and I was pleasantly surprised to see that if I leave the live stream up for a day or two, almost as many people watch that live stream as watch our regular videos. So it is content that people want. They're just not available at the time that I'm recording it. So that made me really happy. And then I went further into the analytics of these live streams, and I'm seeing that people are subscribing from these live streams. Like they're finding us through these, and they're like, hey, this is something that I want to be a part of. And I think that's awesome, because these live streams, the only value that they really have, like we might be showing a Lego set that maybe you're interested in. I do see people saying like they want to buy a lot of the sets that we show off. And maybe I have a way of talking about things in a way that, through my passion, because I've had people do this to me, I can get a little excited about things. And in doing that, I could sometimes find a way to get other people excited about it as well. But I've been on the receiving end of that, and I've watched some expensive YouTube videos in the Lego space, I'll tell you that. But yeah, people are watching them. People are finding us. People are subscribing. And I think it's because it's something kind of unique. Like it's just a dad and his kid kind of just hanging out in the morning, having a good time, making jokes, chit-chatting with each other, talking to the chat. It's an experience. And right now in my life, I'm very thankful to have that, because it's not always going to be this way. Someday this studio is going to be a very quiet place without Clarkman. So I want to soak all this in that I can, and to have these captured, even if just a few people watch it when they're live, that's okay, because it's not what it's about. That's just like the icing on the cake. So I like that. I have been monetizing the videos if I leave them up, just to give you the financial background on this. And I did notice one thing. YouTube, like, you really have to go in and check YouTube, because they'll put like 15 ads in like the first 30 minutes of your video if you do a live stream and leave it up. I'm just like, dude, people that are sitting down to listen to a live stream, they don't want ads every 2 minutes that's going to interrupt their experience. So I usually cut a whole bunch of those out. I put them like every 7 to 10 minutes or something. And then just if you let that sit for a day or two, that video actually earns a little bit of money. And you take that money and add that to any like super chats that we get, and you add like the memberships in. And I think if we stick with this, I think doing these morning streams and building a little set each day, or maybe one set over a couple of days, I think the financials of this could actually work out, that the money that we get actually pays for the stuff we're sharing. So to me, that is like the ultimate thing, right? Like, we get to experience this build and have fun with it. We get to hang out together. We get to entertain people. And through that entertainment, we get the income that is enough to do it again the next day. And to me, that's what this whole thing is about. That's the whole idea behind like Patreon and memberships. And unfortunately, ads are kind of like forced because, it's just, there's an ad there. There's no, I guess you could have ad blocker, but it's kind of like an involuntary way of supporting the people that you watch. And it is a good thing because, without that, it's very hard for people to put serious effort into what they do. But if we could make this work financially, like, I'm not talking about like becoming a billionaire by, doing morning streams, but even if it just like covers it, that's totally worth it for me. And I just think it's an amazing opportunity. Just like I said about almost everything, it's just these amazing opportunities. And I'm not going to let this go to waste. So morning streams continue, maybe getting a little bit longer. If I can get up out of bed and just come down here and turn things on and start working on some stuff, it'll be like one experience. And then maybe it'll kind of switch over as Clark gets up. But we'll see how things go with that. I'm not going to be too hard on myself with it. I don't want to get burnt out on it. That's important too. But when you see the results come in and you see that people are liking what you're doing, that really helps. Which is why I included a new segment in this episode, which I'll just go into right now. We do have some listener feedback, but I'm just going to go into this. This is my feel-good comments of the week. I put these in here because these are comments that are left on Missing Pieces. I usually don't read them because they're kind of like self-promoting, I suppose, in terms of me. But sometimes you need to hear these things because that comment may disappear someday. But when I go back 2 years from now and I watch this episode back, this is what it's all about for me. So this first comment comes from Owen. This is Owen's feel-good comment of the week. He says, Greg, I have to say, I absolutely adore these podcasts. Love that. He says, the relaxation they give me is immeasurable. Talk about Owen. And Owen, he can write better than I can speak. Genuinely, you inspire me. I'm almost 20 years old, and I tune into Missing Pieces every week. I listen to podcasts with millions and millions of subscribers, and none of them have half the emotion, passion, and love you do. How about that? It's quite an honor, Owen. Thank you so much. Like, you're filling my heart up, man. Yeah. We're not going to cry this episode, I promise. Promise, not promise. Next one comes from DJ, who's a member, former Patreon detector. He says, another fantastic podcast. I'm sitting here building my classic TV series, Batman Cal, talking and chatting away with members on the Discord. You created such an amazing community here, Greg, and I'm truly thankful for that. Well, I'm thankful that there's actually people in the community, just like eBay wouldn't exist if people weren't selling, just like YouTube wouldn't exist if people weren't putting out videos. A community is only what the members of it are. And I've always stood by the fact that if you put out positive and uplifting content, that's the type of people that you're going to attract into your life. And so far that has been absolutely true. So if you want to avoid negativity, okay? So thank you, DJ. Thank you, Owen, for the feel-good comments of the week. My heart is full. Like, I have like a life bar that I just leveled up. Thank you, guys. But let's go into some other listener feedback that's actually productive for this podcast instead of just bloating my ego here. First one is from Imperial Officer 07, and I love this one. He has a fix for our backlog problem. He says, simple solution to defeat the backlog. Just don't build up one. And it never occurred to me before. I never thought the way to not have a backlog is to not buy sets and add them to the backlog. Genius. But I do know the way to defeat it, and that is to build Lego sets every day. Build more than you buy. It's like losing weight. You take in fewer calories than you expend. That's how we're defeating the backlog. It works across multiple levels. Thank you for the advice to Brickitect. Next one comes from Lego Dude 11. He says, hey, Greg, longtime listener here. I wanted to answer your statement on being a night owl and a morning person. Ooh, this is a good topic from last week. I figured I'd be triggering some people here. He says, I'm totally like you. I'm totally a morning person. Whenever I wake up, I'm energetic and ready to start the day. Whenever I sleep with my friends, they wonder why I'm that way. I feel like I'm ready for whatever comes my way. But when the sun goes down, I'm like you and I begin to lose energy. Sun goes down. I was thinking maybe he was on a submarine or he was stationed out, in the Atlantic or something. He says, when the sun goes down, I'm like you and I begin to lose energy. I thought I'd share the similarities of being a morning person. Another amazing episode to listen to on the way to work. And I know you love longer comments, so I hope this was worth it. I like the fact that you said you're welcome for the longer comment. Instead of apologizing, I want you to be like, I made this long comment for you. Thank you so much. I hope you're having an enjoyable commute to work. Look for those yellow cars as you're driving now. Thank you for listening. Thank you for commenting. And thank you for sticking with me for all these episodes. Next one comes from Ian Brickbod. Ooh, I like that name, Brickbod. I'm going to try to have a Brickbot here in 2 years, Ian. He says, as a night owl, ooh, here we're coming from the other perspective here. It often seems like the world is designed against us. As a kid, I had to get up early and take a half-hour bus ride, which got me to school half an hour before it started. Of course, I wasn't happy. I was normally tired and wet and cold due to spending half an hour waiting in the playground in the rain. I eventually ended up in a job with flexible hours, and it was glorious. Starting at 10 a.m. and working to the evening was great. Now I have kids at school, and it's back to early mornings. Most days, they are worth it. Well, I'll agree with you there, Ian. The world is set up for morning people. We all have different schedules and things that works with us. I mean, there is second shift jobs, I suppose, or third shift jobs if you're an extreme night owl, but business hours tend to be set up for morning people. 8 a.m. or whatever, 9 a.m. That's when most people go to their jobs. Most people go to school. That's where life exists. So it is, I imagine, pretty hard being a night owl in this morning man's world. Just like I'm a lefty and we're in a right-handed man's world. So all lefties unite. We will be the chosen ones. Probably not. But yeah, I feel your pain. I'm glad you had that experience. Once the kids grow up though, and they can get off to school themselves, you can go back to bed or not even get up until noon or whatever your situation is. Next one. I love this. This is from a guy named Trainzar, new subscriber here. He says, night people are having too much fun to go to sleep. That's true too. I could see that. By the time I get tired at night, some people are just getting started and you're getting all this stuff done while I'm just slumbering away. So I do have respect for the night people. And ultimately, just like I said last week, you do whatever works best for you. Whatever your thing is, if you're a night person and like say you have a normal job or a normal school week and you at midnight, you're just raring to go, do your thing, man. That's your time to get stuff done. You might pay for it the next day, but you can get things done. Next one comes from the Bricky Plat, another member detector. He says, I'll tell you this. I'm a very open person. I will wear what I like or talk on whatever to people or talk to people to try to get friendly with them. Like, for example, I use my Charizard wallet and I always get complimented on it by the cashier. They'll be like, oh, you like Pokemon too. Apparently that's a thing. And we will talk about it for a couple minutes. It really makes me smile. You should never really hide what you like or not care what people think about you. If you be open, you'll make more friends and just make a good conversation. That's a good point. Yeah, if you pull your wallet out, that's a conversation piece. You wear a certain shirt, that's a conversation piece. It's a good way to find I was going to say a union, like friendship in other people. Just like if you wear say you wear a sports shirt or like a jersey or a hat or whatever, it gives people like something. They can be like, oh man, you like the insert team name here. Me too. Or man, your team sucks. You get into a fist fight with a guy and then you end up going to jail because you stepped on his face. Yeah, it can happen as well. So I'm going to start this episode over. Welcome everyone to episode 99, 100. I got to start over again. No, I'm kidding. Thank you for the comment, Platypus. Next one comes from Vlad Brick Studios. Vlad says, awesome podcast as always. I like to give everyone a new voice. Says the Dollar General guy was having fun because he was probably enjoying what he was doing. This is how I want to be when I work at my future job. I want to have fun along the way. I want to pursue my career in making movies. Still haven't decided between a movie director or editor. In the beginning, I probably won't have the greatest salary ever, but I will try not to think about that. I will always think that I do what I love most, and I'll be happy that I'm working as something I've dreamed to do since I was young. Thank you for doing this podcast. Greg, I can't wait for more. I'm trying to go for Russian accent for Vlad. He's probably just unsubbed. But dude, I like the fact that you're working towards something. I believe in you. If you're already thinking about your goal, and I know becoming like a movie director or editor it sounds daunting, but somebody has to do it, right? Christopher Nolan just didn't wake up and he's like, hey, I'm a movie director. He worked towards it. So you do your thing, Vlad. Report back to me in 2 years and let me know where you're at. Speaking of that, I hope the rest of you guys are writing down your goals and your aspirations and all the things you want to be by episode 200. And I hope you're leaving them as a comment on here. I'd love to read them next week. I should have mentioned that earlier in this episode because most of you have already left at this point. We'll have to do a pinned comment. Next one comes from a name that I can now read, Jedi Lego Arts. And it's not Lego Jedi Arts. It says, going through a stressful time at the moment, worrying about making the right decisions. I thought with age I'd become more confident and wise. It seems the opposite has occurred. Listening to this episode has helped. Perfect timing. Yeah, we've talked about this in a few weeks now about how small decisions sometimes seem so big and you don't want to make the wrong one, and how a decision you made in the past could have altered your entire life. You know, had you not zigged when you should have zagged, or zagged when you should have zigged, everything would be different. But you just got to make the best decision with what you got right now. You got whatever knowledge you have. Maybe you could acquire a little bit more, and then you got to do something. Indecision is the worst decision. I just made that up. I think that's a good t-shirt. I'll make that so someone talks to me about it next time I go out. I believe in you. You'll get it figured out, whatever it is that's going on in your life. Next one comes from Iroc, who needs some advice. It says, first-time commenter, long-time listener. I added that part. I like that. I like the first-time caller, a long time. I'm moving on. It says, I've listened to Missing Pieces since episode 1 and love the show. He's 100 episodes deep, boys. I usually listen to this on Spotify. I needed some advice-itect. I'm in a long-distance relationship, but we played different consoles in different states with a 2-hour time difference, and I'm not sure what to do since she and I will probably not be able to see each other for a few years. Well, I thought about this long and hard, Iroc. And the fact that we live in such an advanced technological state right now where you don't even have to meet someone to have a relationship with them means that your relationship can continue. You can do FaceTime. You could do like a Skype call. You could, the console thing, it's the deal breaker though. If you're a PlayStation guy and she's an Xbox girl, dump her. I'm kidding, of course. I'm kidding. A lot of cross-platform games. You guys can play some Fortnite together, play some Warzone. But yeah, ultimately, you can communicate. It's never been easier to communicate. It's not like you're writing letters to your long-lost love and sending them in a bottle across the ocean. Like, you could literally text her right now, probably. You're watching this on something that can communicate. You could email. I think it could work. Obviously not as easy as seeing each other in person, but a 2-hour time difference, that's a long distance. I was thinking you were saying like 2-hour drive. That's not so bad. You could pull that off, but a 2-hour time difference means that you live on the East Coast, for example, and she's like in Colorado or something like that. That's substantial. Try to make it work. I think you can do it. If there was ever a time to do something like this, like a long distance relationship, now's probably the time. Until we get VR or teleportation devices where you can just go into this thing and like be in a location, which I guess you could do that with the Oculus. Get a VR system. Send her one too. All right, we read the feel-good comments of the week. Did that slightly out of order. Got my life bar filled up. Let's end this episode with some wins of the week. Starting with Brick Sequel. He says, win of the week. Got Attack of the Spider Lair. Build it and started a new stop motion. I consider that to be a win. Speaking of winning just like you, I bought that as well. But it needs to be a secret because Santa Claus is going to be delivering it to Clarkman. It's a set that he's wanted for a long time. We've admired it in the store a whole bunch of times. Target was doing a $10 gift card for every $50 of Lego spent, and that seemed like a win. So that's going to be a future haul video, I guess. It's Christmas, and I'm sure he's going to love it, as will I. That set's fire. So good luck on your stop motion. I hope it works out for you and hope it creates something that you're super proud of. Next and last win of the week, we've got Beta Brick. It says, win of the week. This week I got braces and an expander in my mouth. It is absolutely horrible right now, but I can still consider it a win because it will be better for my teeth and my mouth in the long run, even if it's making my life miserable right now. I like this because it creates a great send-off, and it's because we're all talking about our goals, or at least I'm talking about my goals. You're putting yours in the comments right now so I can read them next week if you'd like to share. See how I did that there? sometimes to get to the place that you want to get to isn't necessarily fun. It's not great. When you're trying to get your dad bod gone and become shredded and have your brick bod in 2 years, it's not going to be fun doing that. But you got to think about the bigger picture. You got to think about, how am I going to get to the place that I want to get to? Just like I tell you guys all the time. And I've questioned whether I should make these episodes any kind of advice-itect or inspirational or motivational like this, or if I should just sit down and talk about my week and the things I did and just cut it at that. But as of right now, as of episode 100, and this could be completely different by episode 200, that's kind of where I feel called to be, because I know there's people listening to this right now that, and especially younger kids, I think I could have a positive impact in their life. And that would make me so happy to know that somebody out there has bettered themselves, even if it's just something tiny in some way, even if it is 100 episodes from now, by listening to one of these 100 episodes that I've recorded so far. That is like, what bigger win of the week? I'm going to talk about wins of the 100 episodes. That would be my win of anything, would be for one person out there to be like, because I listened to that, this happened. And I'd be like, dang, it was all worth it. All 100 of those hours that I sat down to record an episode and to put it into the editing and to export it and to upload it and put the podcast out for those of you that like to listen to it elsewhere, it's all worth it for that. And for that reason, that's why we're going to go to episode 101 next week. And then we're going to go to 102. And Lord willing, 2 years from now, we'll be sitting here at episode 200 at our new farm with all my animals surrounding me in the studio. And I'll be shredded, I'll be organized, and I'll just be living my greatest life, all because I put it out there and I work towards it. So on that, thank you guys so much for watching and for listening to this episode of Missing Pieces. I really appreciate you taking time out of your day, out of your week, out of your life to be here with me, whether it's your first episode or your 100th. It's just an amazing thing to be able to do this, and I don't take it for granted. So on that, we'll find you in the next Missing Pieces.